thanks. I want to go that way. Jerry, what's up? Danny, what's the word from Canada? Lisa, hello. Mike. Cindy Lou. Yeah, just another day in paradise. I had to change my whole program tonight from what I had planned on this morning. Cheryl, how you doing? I had a whole show planned out, and there was just too much other stuff I had to get in today. One problem with this phone is I'm back on my phone now, as you guys can see. But I love this phone and the camera and everything, but it's smaller, so the writing is smaller, so it's hard for me to read on the screens. Anyway, give it a couple more seconds here, guys. We'll get started. Big testimony today. It's funny how blatantly these people lie. The media, the Democrats, the globalists. Yeah, it's, what they were saying about the Horowitz report and what the Horowitz report really is completely different. Lisa, how you doing? I'm going to give it a couple extra seconds because I think it might throw people. Going back to my phone. Okay, let's, Danielle, how you doing? Let's go ahead and get started. Swampwatch 12/11/19. James, how you doing? Fun. Yeah, it was actually pretty good considering. Jerry's saying that Horowitz looks like a mobster. Well, I have to say, you guys, the beauty of what happened today was that here's a guy who was appointed by Obama, and this was devastating. I mean, what he said today was everybody in the FBI and the DOJ that touched the FISA warrant, that was involved in this FISA warrant, has been referred for criminal indictments, for criminal prosecution. He doesn't have that power. People say, well, nothing happened. He didn't arrest anybody. That comes next. This is all part of the process, guys. I was concerned that, that maybe he'd really hedged. There was no hedging here. They crucified these guys. It cut and dry. A lot of people are going to jail. Everybody that was involved is going to jail. They flat out lied, and the mainstream media, um, you know, turned everything around like they always do to fit their narrative. Like I said, in fact, I said this last night when I kind of thought, because we didn't know, and I didn't go through and read 400 pages or whatever it was. At least a strong consensus was that that he basically had caved a little bit, but it was pretty clear cut in this testimony. And I'll say the other thing, even though I think that Lindsey Graham is compromised, I don't know for sure. In fact, I'm not even going to go there because I'm so on the fence with him. He was too tight with McCain, so there's definitely something there. And he was, until McCain died, Graham was really not an ally of President Trump. I think McCain had something on him that the deep state maybe didn't, because once he was free of the ties of McCain, I think it freed him up to do what he really wanted to do, what was in his conscience to do. But he had a brilliant opening statement. I mean, he laid out the whole thing. Anybody who hasn't seen it should go pull it up. And they're not making this easy to find. That's the other thing. They didn't want any part of it. The stations, I guess, were pulling away people who were tweeting from the hearing. They were deleting the tweets. Twitter was. So they know how bad this is, and it's getting away from them, guys. They can't stop it. They're just too much. This thing goes right to the top. Like I said before, it goes right to Obama. There's no way this happened without his approval. And probably, like Brennan said, Obama ordered this. Brennan's already said that on live camera. They've got him in an interview. I think, I'm not sure which, I think it was CNN even. But I think he's just covering his butt. And this is like 6 weeks ago, he did this interview. And because he knew this was coming. And he wanted to make sure that it was on the record that he was just following orders. It doesn't make any difference. It's the same thing that happened to the Nazis at Nuremberg. You don't, there's certain charges that you don't get to say, well, I was ordered to do it. These guys all have to swear an oath to defend the Constitution. And there's no excuse for not doing it, because that's the ultimate. Anybody that gives you an unconstitutional order, you do not have to follow that. Whether it's government, whether it's the military, you do not have to follow an unconstitutional order. So they got nowhere to go. All of these people, Strzok, Page, I think they're going to be serious charges. I think when Durham gets done, we're going to be talking treason. Because there is no question. And the beautiful thing about, they've got it all. They can't deny. They basically came out and said they were going to commit a coup. They were going to resist. It's It's a prosecutor's dream. They have, like I've been saying for months, the evidence is overwhelming. Not one single person is going to escape justice. Not one. In this, watching today, just, it just solidified it all in my mind that, kind of thinking that Horowitz was going to hedge gives them kind of a wedge, right, for a defense. But there's nothing they could gain from what's in that report that was talked about today that they're going to be able to seek any kind of comfort from, because it was pretty brutal. It was pretty clear cut. There wasn't any gray area there, and there shouldn't be. Yeah, they've got their damn text messages, and the things they were saying were they shouldn't have been involved in the investigation, let alone allowed to. And then, of course, we know it wasn't that they were allowed to. They were ordered to do this, but they were. Well, and I think the other thing is, it's not just that they were ordered. I think they were ordered in the sense that they came up with a plan, and then Obama gave them the go-ahead for the plan. You created the plan, and then he ordered you to do it, so that you think that gives you a pass? It's asinine. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing that this is the best they've got for a defense. It just shows how screwed they are. I do not see this going to summer before Brennan or Comey, Clapper get arrested. I don't know how they can. I mean, like I've said, a first-year law student could get convictions here. This as target-rich for a prosecutor as you're ever going to see. It's overwhelming. There's nothing these guys can do. Just kick and scream for as long as they can, but see, America is running out of patience, because at every turn, when the Democratic Party and the mainstream media keeps telling the public there's nothing there, there's nothing there, there's nothing there, as far as this, and then with President Trump, we've got it all loaded with evidence and not come up with a shred, people are getting fed up. Democrats are leaving the Democratic Party by the thousands. Look up #walkaway. There are some amazing videos. If you guys have not checked out #walkaway, the Democrats that making videos that have left the party. Beautiful. I mean, President Trump should have ads where they just run those videos of Democrats and why, after most of them, years and sometimes generations of Democrats are switching, because they're not stupid and they finally woken up. They're still, and that's been my argument all along and why we have to have. We can't be rubbing people's noses in this when everything breaks. Because there's a lot of people that are going to need our help in getting through this, because this is very confusing stuff for most people. And the problem is, it's not only very confusing, but there is mountains of this that we've got to get through. I mean, I could literally take 3 hours and not hit everything that's dirty and is going to be addressed. Virtually every facet of our government has been compromised. We talked about, the 535 congressmen and senators, over 400 are going to be indicted for capital crimes. Think about that. 400 out of 5, basically 5 something. They're saying every all of them, but 90. They say there's 90 that are gonna that are clean. How? Just think about that. 535, and there's only 90 of them that are clean. It is monumental. It's shocking that it got this far. You know, Hillary wins this election where millions are already dead. It would have got bloody. You know, either with the you know, because the military was not going to let Hillary Clinton take power. They knew they had her on treason back then, and they weren't going to allow it. They were honoring their oath to the Constitution. It's very clear, and that's why they've been fighting so hard against the Second Amendment, because they figured that it was, at some point, it was going to come down to them taking our guns. Now, their plan was really going to put us in a very bad spot, because their plan was just to nuke us. Go down in their deep underground bunkers, nuke the shit out of us, and then in whatever, 9 months, a year, come out and clean up the remnants. But the easier thing would have been for them just to get the guns. I mean, that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to save. I think they want, obviously, they'd like to make this as easy as they can. But it wasn't going to be easy. Especially, well, either way, like I said, Hillary gets in, and the problem with that would have been that there would have been massive civil unrest, you know, because there were still too many people that didn't understand what was happening. The mainstream media had the public so brainwashed that there was too many that still thought that they were telling the truth, that he's colluding with the Russians, that he's crazy. You know, you heard all the stories. But now we keep talking about the boomerang. It's come right back on him, because all of the crap they've been trying to sell for the last 3 years has fallen flat on its face. And now really the only ones that are still buying it are the morons, you know, because you can't, there's too much, even on the mainstream now, there's too much contradictory stuff coming out that if I'm a Democrat, I'm going to start having second thoughts, and that means I'm going to start looking for myself and digging deeper. And that's what it takes. All you have to do is start digging for yourself, and you find, oh my God, there's mountains of evidence out there. For open source, it's crazy. For somebody that wants to spend a little bit of time going through the internet, searching YouTube, going through, you all know the channels to follow. We post them all the time. I mean, I don't know how many thousands of articles I've posted in the last 5 years. There's, you know, a group of, 25 people that are great sources, and all you have to do is go to our page. In fact, you don't even really have to do anything except go to either my personal page or the Watchman page and start scrolling and start watching the videos that we post and reading the articles that we post. And in a day, you combine that with the AE911truth.org, their video on Building 7. If you're not at least in the initial stages of waking up, something's wrong. Because, like I've been saying, anybody with an IQ over 50 should be able to figure this out with a little bit of critical thinking skills in a few hours. It's not like you have to spend weeks digging here. It's right on the surface. So if you know where to look, and that's the other beauty of the page, guys. It took me, I wasted hundreds of hours, looking at the wrong people or trying to figure out who the good ones were and who the bad ones were. We've done all that work for you. It's pretty much the people we post, not that they don't get fooled every once in a while, but they're solid. And they've been solid for years now. They're not somebody that just started a channel last year or 6 months ago. They've been doing this and doing a good job of it. So, and again, the people that I look at are the ones that get it right most of the time. Nobody's going to get it right always. You find the guys who are trying to get the truth out. When they make a mistake, they own up to it. And are putting out consistently good information. The stuff they say happens. It's easy once you get into it, guys. And, you guys are already there. It's now the people that were trying to get on board here, get red-pilled before the end of this thing. And, oh, man. I had a whole different show planned. God. We got basically the two big stories are the economy and the Horowitz report and testimony. So I think I've got the Horowitz down enough where you guys kind of have an idea of where it went. The economy is the guy was talking about the guy who worked for the Treasury, worked for the New York Fed. Zoltan Polzar is his name. He's the one that actually set up the repo program for the Fed 10 or 12 years ago whenever they initiated this program. But he's saying, based on his knowledge, that he's supposedly the most knowledgeable man in the world on our repo program. And he's saying it's done. And going through today, this afternoon, it's just more and more corroborating articles that are saying basically the same thing he is. And what it's boiling down to, hedge funds the banks are worried about the hedge funds crashing. So they don't want to loan them any money. And that's why they're having the repo thing. And that's why the rate's going up. The normal has been 2%. It's 4 something today, 4.5, more than double. This is for 24-hour money. See, the problem is what these guys do is say they get $1 million. They'll take the $1 million and then they can buy 10 million worth of assets. Well, when it fails, there's nothing left. Everything goes to zero. The problem is the banks know that all these assets, they're all paper. There's nothing backing them up. That's why they don't want to take them as collateral. They know it's no good. That eventually these people aren't going to be able to pay them back in that 24-hour period. And that's the problem. That's why they had to go to the 2-week repo, because the 1-day thing blew up and they couldn't keep it running on 1 day. So they had to give some of the big banks 2 days. Now, stories out on Zero Hedge that major banks in the U.S., I think it's Chase, the rumor is that it's Chase, is actually trying to take the whole system down. They're trying to purposefully collapse um, um, the FX program. It's the trading desk basically for currencies. Collapse it. They're trying to collapse the economy. What have we been saying? What have we been saying would happen when we got to the point where they were going to take, would collapse the economy? You know who owns Chase? The same people, globalist, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Payseurs. So naturally, that's what they're going to do. It's all falling apart, guys. Days or weeks is where we're at. Oh, let me see here. Make sure I got everything. Oh yeah, and then the other thing, these things that they're trying to say were errors are not errors. This was a coup by their text messages. It's clear that these weren't mistakes. This was a coup. They planned to take down the President of the United States. It's clear. Not mistakes, weren't accidents. They changed an email from the CIA to the FBI. One of the attorneys who was balking at the FBI attorney who was balking at the FISA warrant because he knew there was bullshit, got word that Page was a CIA operative. So he does his due diligence and he sends an email to the CIA. The CIA sends an email back and says yes. An attorney for the FBI changed the email, actually changed the email to say, no, he's not. I mean, can you see? Carter Page was working for the CIA, and the FBI withheld that information from the courts. How do you it's not like, that's not an accident. That's clear cut treason. When you are conspiring with others to remove a duly elected president of the United States, that's treason. Every person involved in treason will be executed when they're convicted. And every single person in the DOJ and FBI who was involved in the FISA warrants is going to be convicted of treason and is going to be executed. And that, McCabe, I think Mueller's got to be in here. Comey, Strzok, what is there? Orr, all of them. Get the list out. I mean, there's, 6, 7, 8 for sure. And my God, we're just talking about the top little group there. There's got to be 5 or 10 more, maybe a level down, who were involved in this. It was devastating. There's no sugarcoating this. And just wait until Durham drops his hammer. It's going to be brutal. It's all good, guys. Like I keep saying, I couldn't write a better script. You just couldn't. The crazy thing is, if you took this script into a movie studio to try and make a movie, they'd laugh you out of the office. It's so implausible. It's unbelievable, the things that were going on. Amazing. Let's see. Oh, okay. Hey, we got all these dates coming up. Tomorrow, the Fed announces the details of the new repo program. That's the 12th. On the 15th, the China tariff decisions. There are people that are saying that if President Trump goes through with the tariffs, the economy is going to collapse. I think he's going to go through the tariffs. I don't see him backing off now. Because well, we'll see. You know, the other possibility here is President Trump's going to take the economy down too. So, if this is going to be wild the next few weeks, guys. The 16th, the Treasury tax reconciliation for the banks on the 16th. What's that, Monday? Whatever. Next week. It's a huge drain on liquidity for the banks. That's probably, the 15th is big, the 16th is big. Just think about this. The president, think about this scenario. The president announces that he's following through with the tariffs, and then the banks are all short, because here's the problem. They don't have any reserves. So how are they going to pay this bill? They're going to have to go to the Fed. It could be so bad that the Fed can't cover it. Now, they've already said they're going to keep printing money. They're going to go to QE. You can't do it forever. Hyperinflation is going to hit. And the market goes, and I mean, there's just it's a perfect storm. We're sailing into the perfect storm right now. It's like 3 storms coming together at the same time, just for the economy, you know. And then on a bigger scale, you've got the economy, and you've got the swamp draining, and you've got the satanic pedophilia, all exploding at the same times. How does the economies, I mean, there's no, like I've been saying, it's a mathematical certainty. If you take the satanic pedophilia out of it, the economy doesn't survive. You know, at some point, President Trump's going to drain the swamp. When President Trump drains the swamp, or right before, the deep state is going to collapse the economy. Or President Trump does it himself, because he won't let it get to the election. Just, there's no way. I don't see how we get through the next 4 weeks. That puts us at like mid-January. And then we've got a whole other set of problems coming up in January with, you know, other stuff that's due. And the problem is that they can't, it's like, think of it like this. It's like being out to sea and you've sprung a leak. At some point, you can't bail fast enough and you sink. That's what's happening to the economy right now. They're getting to the point where they can't bail fast enough. And they can't keep up. And it's almost like it gets worse every week. So any day, guys. Got to be ready. Okay. Yeah, man, there's just so much. And then we got the UK elections tomorrow. That could throw a whole nother monkey wrench into everything. Oh, man. I'm telling you. Unbelievable what's going on around the world. And my God, look at the world's burning. look at the UK, look at Venezuela, Brazil, Chile, France, Germany, China, Hong Kong. The whole world is in an uproar because they're seeing what's going on. You know, all around the world, these protesters are chanting, "We want Trump." Have you seen that on the mainstream? You know, you think if it was Obama that they were saying that about, that wouldn't be all over the news, every channel, half the newscast. There's something happening around the world. It's part of this whole deal, guys. This is part of man's greatest age I've been telling you about. It's confirmation that it's coming because it is like a snowball. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger around the world. And that's why I think we can see China. You know, I've said within 10 years, China's going down. Hell, it might be within a year. Because if things come together right, China might just, you know, see that there's no, if this thing is really a worldwide movement, at some point they're going to understand that they have no choice but to go along. When that happens, we'll see. But every day something else happens to make me think it's happening sooner rather than later. I'm to the point where I'm almost ready to say 5 years instead of 10 that this happens. Just because it's just unbelievable what's happening around the world. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, let's see. Minus 35 in Canada. That's why I'm moving to Arizona, Danny. No 35 below for me. Not going to happen. You couldn't pay me. Oh, thanks, Danielle. I don't care what he looks like, Jerry. I'm glad he. How's it going, Sandy? I'm glad that he's the man he is because he stood up when a lot of Obama appointees, in fact, most Obama appointees, wouldn't have had the same testimony. They'd have found a way to fudge it. Yeah. Um, yeah. CNN only shows the Democrats. Yeah. Sooner or later, even the Democrats' critical thinking skills kick in. And when they do, CNN's done, the mainstream media's done, the Democratic Party's done. They cannot survive someone with critical thinking skills. Well, I think Lindsay, I think he always wanted to be on the right side, but I think he did something that they got on video and they made him go against his instincts. That's how it works with these guys. They have destroyed a lot of men that were just naive, who were deep inside. I think they were good men, and they got tricked, led into some situations that were compromising, and then it was over. Yeah, well, of course, the media. Here's the thing, guys. I said yesterday, it didn't make any difference what Horowitz report said. They had their story done a week ago. It was going to be there's nothing there. That was going to be their story. I could write the news for CNN right now. Becky, how you doing? Yeah, as it stands right now, it looks like Lindsey Graham's on the right side of this thing. But he's I think he's dirty in Ukraine. That's going to be a big one for him to see how that goes. Watch when he gets interviewed, and it's going to be coming up. When he gets interviewed on the Ukraine, watch to see him hedge because there's no hedging on Ukraine either. Clear cut. Um, the Obama administration was laundering money. What was happening was we were giving the money to Ukraine. They were laundering it and then kicking it back to like the Clinton Foundation or these PACs that these criminals set up, these freaking politicians. This is how we fix this, guys. Here, there's a proposal been going around, about limiting terms and, bullshit, basically. You want to fix the system? Here's what we do. One term only. No reelection. You're there for one term. Make it 6 years. That's fine with me. But one term. There's no advertising. There's no donations. Lobbying is illegal. You lobby, it's a felony. You accept money from a lobbyist, it's a felony. No retirement. You get paid based on the national average income. We do this, one term, no advertising. Oh, and then for every election, there'll be 3 televised debates shown on the internet. So you get rid of the bias from the media. You get rid of the re-election campaigns because when you look at these politicians, as soon as you know what they start working on? Donations for their next campaign. You go, and it's going to eliminate the criminals being involved in politics because there's nothing there for them. Nothing there but a jail cell if they want to try and cheat the system now. That's the system we need in place if we want to clean up politics in our country. Guaranteed. Well, I don't think that Lindsey's going to be exposed necessarily by Durham. I think Lindsey might be exposed by Pedo Island and the video that Epstein has. That's where he might get. Now, the saving grace might be that he could have had a deal with McCain that I'm with you until you're gone, and then I get the evidence, obviously to destroy, and he could be clear of it. I think with whatever it was that he had going with McCain, that could be the situation. But his bigger problem is probably going to be what he did in the Ukraine, because I think he was right in the middle of that with McCain. I think they were both getting money out of the Ukraine. Michael, good to see you. Good question. I think gonna go in the man's prison, but of course that's probably what he wants. Yeah, and Michael Obama will be going to prison too, maybe executed also. She was right in the middle of all this. Chad, how you doing? No, it's not a very good record. It's a very just think about it. It's about 80% of of our politicians in Washington are going to be in prison or executed. Becky, how you doing? Caroline, how you doing? Uh, Carolyn, are you is Jerry your boyfriend? I won't tell Gary. David, what's up? Now, don't say Horowitz is. Why are you saying Horowitz is guilty? By Horowitz's testimony today, he's guilty of nothing except doing his job. I think, in matter of fact, what his testimony shows me is he's probably clean, because if he was dirty, he would have gone the other way. He would have had to go the other way, because eventually, like if he's got dirt at Pedo Island, he's going down. If he did, I don't think he'd have gone the way he did. Doesn't make any sense. No, the pensions are done, guys. All the interest rate going up is going to do is collapse the system. It's not going to save anything, because you need 10 years of it. You remember, it took them 10 years to run the pension funds into the ground. So you're not going to turn it over with anything. The only saving grace for the pension funds, there's been rumors, well, there's two possibilities. When President Trump seizes the assets as allowed for in the executive order from 12/21/17, the executive order that said any person or corporation involved in child trafficking or corruption can have their assets seized by the government. Well, we're talking Google, Twitter, Facebook, and Amazon. Four of the wealthiest companies in the world. Now, if we have the collapse, that value is going to be hammered. But it's going to be something that could help possibly with pensions. We'll have to see how it plays out. The other rumor is that the federal government has on thousands of tons of gold that was discovered in the Grand Canyon 100 years or so ago, like the late 1800s. If either of those, and then the other thing is there's supposedly Chinese elders gold that's, to me, if that happens, I'm not counting on it. I mean, to me, it's kind of like a little bit of a fantasy, but hey, we'll see. Those are the only things that can save the pension funds. Otherwise, if this just takes its natural course and we don't get any big surprises, it's going down. And the problem is the debt is so massive that I don't know that getting those funds would really put a dent in it anyway. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. But it's the whole point of why we get physical silver and Litecoin, because it doesn't make any difference. Let it all go to zero. As long as you're protected, as long as you have your insurance, you're going to come out ahead. Trust me. What you make on physical silver and Litecoin, if you've got $300 in Litecoin at today's price, so that would be like $6. If you've got 5 Litecoin, or you've got 1,000 ounces of silver, 500 ounces maybe. It's hard to say with silver, but I think the Litecoin is a sure thing. That's why I've got more of it. But you're going to more than make up what you lose in your pension, in your home values. Just think about it. 5 Litecoin, that's $15 million in 5 years, according to some analysts. And again, I think those numbers are conservative. I think it's going to be more than that. 84 million Litecoin. There's less than, I think, than 20 million left of them. And there's 7.5 million people in the world. What do you think is going to happen? And cryptocurrencies are the future of money. They're going to replace banking. Yeah. Just get your Litecoin and your silver. No problem, David. Feel better. Cousin Bill, how's it going? Yeah, I think there would be a lot of volunteers for the job of kicking the latch for the hangman. Sandy, how are you? Yeah, I do not think President Trump's going to back off the tariffs. I don't think he is. I think it would be a well, again, I'm not going to go there. We'll see how it plays out. Well, Jerry, you wouldn't want Trump as our president if you're the deep state. You wouldn't want President Trump as our president if you're a satanic pedophile. I mean, that's where, just look at who's opposing him. Everybody who's opposing him, satanic pedophile, traitor. There are, listen, there's, um, my best guess is there are over 100 million Americans, if it came to it, that would pick up their ARs and jump in the fight. Um, no one wants that. Trust, there's no one in the world that wants any part of the American public. I mean, the Japanese, the supreme military commander of the Japanese forces said back in the Second World War that no country will ever invade America because they will find a gun behind every blade of grass. And that's a true story, guys. And think about it. Look what Afghanistan did with basically muskets to the most powerful country, one of the most powerful military countries in the world, Russia. They drove them out. They're what are they? A tenth the size of the United States with a thousandth the population, with no assets, no arms or ammunition basically to speak of on a military level. The beautiful thing about what the deep state has done the last 10 years is they have driven Americans, patriotic Americans, Christian Americans, to see what's coming on the horizon and stock up on guns and ammo. Their worst nightmare. Everybody's going to be shooting at them. Well, I did not see Ted Cruz's questioning, so I may not be, but what I saw when I think it was Lindsey Graham questioning him, what he said under examination by Graham was enough to hang them all. So I'm not sure, and I'll look at more of it with Cruz, but everything I saw was, and again, it really doesn't make, if anything else happened, irrelevant, because he buried him with his responses to Graham. Okay, I gotta get going here, man. Jesus. Yeah, I mean, there could be a miracle with the pensions, but I just don't see it. And guys, Listen, most of your pensions, if you've got 5 or 10 or 15 Litecoin, you're going to donate it to charity. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Horowitz. Like I said, by what I saw, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but what I saw, it was awesome. So I'll watch the rest of it, and then we'll talk about it probably tomorrow. Okay, guys. Um, that's all the questions for tonight. It's everything I've got. Uh, Things are moving along. Um, there's just so much happening right now. I just don't see how this thing goes another 6 weeks. It's going to happen sooner rather than later. And when I say I'm talking about either the economy going or some arrests starting, something's going to break here. And I think it might be the economy that is the first thing, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. Be positive when you're out talking to people. This is scary stuff for most people. They have no clue. You talk about the first worldwide economic collapse, and their eyes roll back in their heads. So you got to be careful of how you present this stuff. But take advantage of the time we have left. Every day, I'm helping people with silver or Litecoin. So, and every one of those people that we game is going to make it that much easier once we get into this thing. The more that are ready, the easier President Trump and the government to keep everybody fed, right?